Obiama village was peaceful during the day, but once the sun set, the whole community avoided a certain narrow footpath that led into the deeper parts of the forest. The elders called it Okorondiche, the path of the others. Nobody joked with that name. Hunters refused to pass it at night. Even the strongest warriors turned back once darkness dropped. It wasn't just a path. It was a boundary between the living and something else. Some said invisible footsteps followed them whenever they dared walk close. Others heard whispers in languages no one understood. And many claimed the trees there breathed like human beings. But no one had ever truly seen what lived in that forest. Until Odogwu decided he would. He was 19, stubborn, and too proud for his own good. One evening, he sat with his friends while they roasted yam, and the topic came up. They teased him, calling him a coward, asking if he too fed the forest spirits like the old men. Odogwu, trying to prove himself, slapped his chest loudly and declared he would walk through Okorondiche at exactly midnight. His friends cheered. The villagers shook their heads. His parents begged him not to. His mother cried, saying she dreamt of something dark covering him like smoke, but Odogwu had already made up his mind. When the village gong struck midnight, he lit his lantern and stepped into the cold night. Everyone watched from their windows as he walked towards the forbidden path. His shadow stretched behind him, long and thin, until it melted into the darkness. The moment he entered the path, everything changed. The air shifted, colder, sharper, as though he had walked into a different world entirely. His lantern flame began to shake violently, even though the air was still. The insects which normally screamed loudly at night suddenly went silent. The forest became so quiet it felt like it was listening. Odogwu swallowed hard and continued, but with every step, the road changed beneath him. The familiar path twisted strangely. The trees bent their branches toward him like giant hands. Their trunks stretched tall, taller than anything natural. The ground felt soft, like he was stepping on skin instead of soil. Then the voices began. At first it sounded faint like a distant whisper carried by the wind. Odogwu. He froze and spun around. Nobody, just darkness and twisted trees. He took another step and the voice came again, this time closer, right beside his ear. Odogwu, go back. He jumped and nearly dropped his lantern. His heart hammered so hard that he felt it in his teeth. He tried to shout, but his voice stuck in his throat. He forced himself to walk faster, trying to prove he was still brave. Then he saw it. A tall figure stood at the middle of the path. It wasn't moving. It wasn't breathing. It was simply standing, waiting. Its limbs were too long for a human. Its head was tilted unnaturally like a broken mask. A shadow stretched across the path even though there was no moonlight. Odogwu's lantern flickered violently, as if terrified. Odogwu, the figure whispered again, this time in his mother's voice. He felt pain in his chest. His voice shook as he said, "My mother is at home. You can't deceive me." But the figure only tilted his head further, and the sound that escaped his mouth felt like cold fingers dragging across wood. He turned and ran. The forest reacted immediately. The ground rose under his feet. Roots curled like snakes trying to grab him. The trees leaned inward, their branches scraping his skin like claws. The air seemed to push him back, as though the forest itself wanted him. His lantern slipped from his hand and shattered, plunging him into darkness so thick that he could feel it on his skin. He kept running blindly until a hand grabbed his ankle. He fell, screaming. When he looked down, he saw a shadow, a perfect silhouette of himself, pulling him towards the earth, as though the ground was swallowing him. He kicked wildly, tears streaming, screaming for help even though nobody could hear him. The shadow climbed up his leg, cold as ice, clinging to him like a second skin. Then he vanished. By morning, the villagers had gathered at the edge of the path. Odogwu never returned home. His mother kept calling his name, but the forest remained silent. The elders warned everyone to stay away. They were turning to leave when a faint cry echoed from deep inside the forest. "Mama! Papa! Help me!" Everyone froze. The voice was Odogwu's, but it sounded twisted, distant, like someone speaking through the water or through the ground itself. Nobody entered the forest to search for him. And since that night, anyone who passes Opurondiche after sunset hears footsteps behind them and the young boy whispering, "Please, help me. I'm still here."